Hello everyone. Today I am here to talk about the subject thermodynamics. First of all, we will know why thermodynamics is important in real life. We all know that energy is the basic source by which all the processes in this universe continue or exist. And thermodynamics is generally the study of energy, its transformation into various forms. So we can easily understand that whether it's riding a bicycle or a bike or cooking or any process, even though like all energy forms are related to thermodynamics, and thermodynamics studies and explains to us why energy is in that form and how it transforms. In terms of GATE exam, thermodynamics is very important subject as from previous papers analysis we can see that thermodynamics occupies an average 8 to 10% in all papers of GATE exam. That is nearly 8 to 10 marks on an average are from thermodynamics subject all times in the GATE paper. Now I would like to talk to the current and future students why they should write GATE exam and why is it important to appear for the GATE exam. We all know that not everyone has got an IIT or got into an IIT or an NIT during their BTECs for their BTECs. So GATE is an opportunity to really this thing again, where you can work hard and you can try again to get through any IITs or NITs. And now the best part is GATE has really become a gateway for all PSUs. Most of the PSUs in the country now recruit through GATE exam. So like major PSUs like NTPC, BHEL, OMGC, BAR, they all recruit through GATE exams, and the people who score well in GATE exams get to these companies and appear for the interviews and join their dream jobs. Other than this also, GATE exam leads you to opportunities for higher research posts as well as higher research opportunities in NITs, IITs and most of the good colleges in the country, as well as some of the other colleges in the foreign like Nanyang, NUS University, Singapore and many other foreign universities. So we all as students, the current and future students should understand that GATE is a very important exam, and also GATE is purely it tests your technical knowledge, means how much you have done. It is a measure of what you have done in the 4 years and how well you know it. GATE measures it very nicely, and you can easily prove your mettle in the technical education, what you have acquired for so many years, that you by scoring well in GATE exam, you can prove to someone that okay, if you are very good at your technical concepts, you can clear GATE easily and get good marks. And even some private companies do consider GATE score for the recruitment process in their jobs. So we also understand that GATE is a very important thing, and GATE exam, and nowadays it has been a buzzword, especially for core branches. GATE has become mandatory to survive in this technical world, as well as what you have to do when the non-core branches like computer science and IT, you have very good opportunities in NITs and IITs. Once you get through, you have to understand that there are many good companies, very big companies that recruit you even from your teaching courses, whether you are doing MTech or MS from GATE and as well as PhDs. And the best part is if you are GATE qualified, government provides you sponsorship of 12,400 rupees per month. Scholarship is provided by government irrespective of whether in which college you study. But the mandatory thing is that you have taken admission to your GATE exam, GATE course. If you have cleared GATE and you are taking admission in MTech or MS or PhD anywhere, you will get that 12,400 rupees per month. So now let's talk about my topic, that is thermodynamics. Thermodynamics, as I have said earlier, is the transformation of energy and the study of energy from one form to another. Thermodynamics is basically based on its laws, which are called as the laws of thermodynamics. The first law is, we start with the zeroth law of thermodynamics, which is if there are two bodies one A and B, which are in thermal equilibrium with the body name C. They are in thermal equilibrium with the third body name C. Then thermodynamics says that they two are themselves in thermal equilibrium. That is, if A and B are in thermal equilibrium individually with the third body C, then we can understand that A and B are in thermal equilibrium with each other. Similarly, this is the zero law. The first law of thermodynamics is simply the conservation of energy law. That is, energy is neither created nor destroyed, but only converted from one form to another. We can write the general form equation of energy. First law as Q is equal to U plus P. Q is the energy in the form of heat. Suppose if a body is there for work is happening, if Q is the energy supplied in the form of heat, then this is probably internal energy. Then the body stores some amount of heat supplied to it in the form of U, that is internal energy, as the remaining energy is done as work in the form of P. P represents pressure there, and V is the work. Means generally the work done is in the form of volume work. That is either compression or expansion, whatever work we do. That generally defined in terms of thermodynamics terms. That okay, this is the first law of representation. Q is equal to U plus P. Always the energy given is equal to the energy taken, but one is energy stored and the remaining is the energy work done. Then the second law of thermodynamics, which is generally based on two statements, that is Kelvin time statement and Clausius statement. Both statements generally say that by the first law they define quantity. This first law only defines quantity, which energy given is equal to energy used and our energy stored. But second law defines quality. Quality are direction. In the sense that whatever the energy is given, it's not that energy can go either way. It's always defined as energy goes in the direction of decreasing quality. That is, from a higher grade source to a lower grade source. Energy can neither be in a natural process. Energy can't be transferred from a lower grade source to a higher grade source. It can only go naturally from a higher source to a lower source. Like suppose there is a reservoir at 100 degrees centigrade. So if there is a chance of transfer of energy, then 100 from 100 reservoir somewhere there is another sink at 80 degrees centigrade. So the energy will always transfer from 100 to 80. It will by the second of thermodynamics. If we want energy and temperature to increase from 80 to 100, we need to apply some external source to take it to external energy source to take it from 80 to 100. It can never be because it means the actual natural process is completely. Because if you want to, we have to supply external energy. This is defined by the statements of second law, Kelvin time and Clausius in general. And similarly, there is then a third law defines a term known as entropy. Entropy is defined as the degree of randomness or turbulence or randomness in the system. Like if there is suppose gas particles are there. If there are 100 gas particles in a container like gas particles at the normal temperature, they are in stable condition in equilibrium. Suppose we increase the temperature suddenly, then the gas particles will start moving in turbulence. That is defined by entropy and the third law of thermodynamics in general. Also, there are two other things defined, that is PMN1 and PMN2. That is perpetual motion machine 1 and 2. These are defined by the first law defines the perpetual motion machine 1 and the second law defines the perpetual motion machine 2. That is in the sense that the perpetual motion machine is one thing that does further, we will see what is defined as system. In thermodynamics terms, thermodynamics define the whole universe as a system, and in the universe itself there are many systems. Like we can either consider a system, the whole system as a the whole universe as a system, or there can be multiple systems in it. Like system is a place where activity is getting on. We can define system anywhere. We can either define a room as a system, or in the room itself we can make divisions and say that one bench and people sitting there are a system, the second bench and the people sitting there are another system. So that is the definition varies according to the person who is handling the system or the thermodynamics who is calculating. So like we can see that systems are like there are three kinds of systems in general. The closed system, open system, and the isolated system. First is the open system. Open system is that in which mass as well as heat can mass energy as well as heat can travel outside as well as inside. Either in either case, mass and heat can either enter the system or exit from the system. There is no restriction on the system boundary. Open system, all things can happen. Second system is closed system. There are a bit of restrictions because in closed system only heat energy can go from one system to another, but mass cannot be transferred. Unlike open system, only heat can go either way, but it is constant. Mass cannot be changed for the closed system. That is closed system. Then there is the third kind of system, which is isolated system. Third kind of system is isolated. In this, we can see that there is neither input or output of mass, nor there is input or output of heat. The system is isolated from the outer world. Means the system remains as it is forever. Once the system is defined, we cannot input either heat or mass. Nothing can go out or come in from the system. Everything is inside. You cannot input or output from the system. These are the three kinds of systems in thermodynamics: closed, open, and isolated. Next, thermodynamics generally we can see as it is energy. We know the general terms there are like temperature. Temperature is defined as the degree of hotness or coldness of any body. Temperature, pressure is defined as force upon area, and volume of the system. These three terms, that is temperature, T, pressure, and V, volume, are the basic variables of thermodynamics. Next, we can see we learn about heat. What is heat? Heat is a form of energy, and heat can be in many forms. Like heat is generally defined in two forms: latent heat and sensible heat. Latent heat, we can see, is that the heat energy is stored within the body, or which is hidden. Latent in general English terms, we can see it is a hidden heat. Means that you cannot sense, you cannot visibly project that. Okay, this is the latent amount of heat in this system. Latent heat comes into picture only when there is a phase change, or only when there is a phase change, latent heat comes into picture. Like suppose the solid gets converted into a liquid, so it loses it gains latent heat and gets converted into from solid to liquid. And similarly suppose a body is there, we cannot suppose any solid thing is there, like a ball is there, big iron ball. We cannot say how much electricity is stored in, but if we heat the iron ball, then we can touch and say, okay, like the iron ball is at some 100 degrees centigrade, so we can say the sensible heat we are getting, the temperature we are defining, it's that much amount of heat is there. If it is zero, it is at zero, at 10 degrees, it has less sensibility. So these are the two forms of heat energy, sensible and light energy. Next thermodynamics has thermodynamic properties that we define are of two types. Thermodynamics properties are two types, that is intensive properties and extensive properties. What are these intensive and extensive properties? Intensive properties are those which are independent of the mass of the system. Means whether the system or any substance we are taking, whatever be its mass, the intensive properties of that system or substance will not depend on the mass. Whether it's of 100 kg or the 5 kg, it won't depend. Like suppose there are two iron balls. If we see, if one is a 5 kg, while 5 kg ball is heated to 100 degrees centigrade. And there is one other ball of 100 kg that is also heated to 100 degrees centigrade. So if you want to see what is the intensive property, like intensive properties are temperature, pressure, these are intensive properties. So if we want to measure the intensive property, that is temperature for the balls. Both the balls are at 100 degrees centigrade. So we can say that the intensive property, that is temperature of both the balls are same. It is independent of the mass, whether it is now 500 kg or 100 kg. Similarly, there are extensive properties. Extensive properties are those which are dependent on the mass of the system. Like you can see now we know there are two balls we talked about earlier. That is one is a 5 kg ball and another is a 100 kg ball. So extensive properties are dependent on mass. That means the ball of 5 kg will have less extensive property, the right property, and the 100 kg ball will have more extensive property. Like suppose we said that intensive properties are temperature, pressure, etc. Extensive properties are like density, volume, mass itself, etc. So like the 5 kg ball, its density will be more than less than the 100 kg ball. Similarly, the 100 kg ball will have more volume than the 5 kg ball. So we can understand the extensive properties are density, mass, volume, etc. And those are dependent on mass, intensive are not dependent on mass. Talking about equilibrium, general equilibrium can also be defined as one is thermal equilibrium. Thermal equilibrium is what thermal equilibrium means you are having temperatures are same. When the temperatures are same of two bodies, we can say that they are in thermal equilibrium. Similarly, there is a mechanical equilibrium. Mechanical equilibrium in the sense that the energies of the motion of the body are same. That is, says that they are in mechanical equilibrium. Then there is another term generally defined as chemical equilibrium. Chemical equilibrium can be defined as that system where the chemistry, the chemical compounds, or composition of the systems does not change. These are the general kinds of equilibrium, and then there is another phase equilibrium. Phase equilibrium is when the phase of both the systems are same. They are in the same phase or they are not changing their phase. The phase does not change. first we talk about basic data others. Isobaric processes. Isobaric processes are the process where the pressures of the pressure does not change. That means P is equal to constant at any point of time until the whole process changes from the starting point till the end point. The pressure is constant. Then there are isothermal processes, which means thermal in the sense temperature. The temperature of the remains constant. Then there are also isobaric. Isobaric process means the volume always remains constant. Further, there are other processes like adiabatic process. Adiabatic process means the process in which the heat quantity, that is the heat input and the output remains constant. It never changes. Adiabatic implies Q is equal to constant. Q as heat remains constant as always. So